Welcome to Transcendence Cinema. Welcome back to Transcendence Cinema. I'm your host, Greg Durrance, and with me is...
Victor Martin.
And it was your turn to pick, and you chose We're All Going to the World's Fair. Director
Yes.
Jane Schoenbrunn? I'm not sure how to say her last name.
I was literally just thinking about how to say it, but I'm pretty sure you're on the money there.
All right. So what made you want to do this movie?
Well, I'd first seen this a few months ago. An illegal copy of it. Oops, sorry. And I kind of fell in love with the thing. I've never seen a movie go at internet culture in this way, and also capturing a very interesting vibe and feeling that I hadn't experienced in a film before. It's very kind of melancholy, and the way I described it was like it captures the essence of like going down internet rabbit holes like 3 in the morning and just like you're like you've got school in the morning, but you're like I don't care. I'm gonna detach from reality for a while and just look up weird shit. And it captures that feeling so well. And I just was so surprised that this little thing could evoke so much like it's such a specific emotion, and it's a very divisive film from what I've seen, and I thought it'd be kind of an interesting film for someone like you to watch, to talk about. um yeah.
Yeah, very divisive because I was looking up reviews and people are giving it unnecessary hate, I feel, because I feel like I fall right into the middle of the two.
Huh?
So, but yeah, you're completely right because I don't do it much anymore, but I have stories of me going down YouTube rabbit holes, and this very much brought me back to those days.
Okay.
We have like a 10-year difference age-wise because you said you were born in 96. I was born in 86.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
So I found it interesting. You grew up in the creepypasta age.
Right.
Were you ever a part of that or
I was.
looked into it rather?
Yeah. I wasn't like huge into the creepypasta stuff. I mean, I would of course read some, but I wasn't like one of those people who would like write them or get super into those stories. But of course, like Slender Man and uh there's a few different ones. I can't remember the names of them, but
Mm-hmm.
that sort of stuff was definitely like Marble Hornets.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, that one's actually pretty interesting. It's like a YouTube series that is about Slender Man, but it's like a
Oh,
multi-part episode thing.
I see.
But yeah, definitely part of my youth was this sort of stuff.
Right. Yeah, I didn't get in. I caught the tail end of this kind of stuff, like the evil Mickey Mouse tapes is something
For
that I
sure,
went
for sure.
down so hard. I don't know why, but but yeah. So this movie, this we're going to the World's Fair is a internet challenge. This girl that is in her parents' attic takes the challenge, and things happen. And yeah. So can we remove the word boring from people's vocabulary when they're describing movies?
I yeah, I agree. I
Because I
agree.
was looking up reviews and every other one was like boring, boring. I'm like, no, you're a boring person. Like I hate that word to describe movies because you're just impatient. That's really what it comes down to. Because I wasn't bored at all. This movie had me on the edge of my seat the whole time because I wanted to know what was going to happen next.
Yeah. Oh, I'm happy to hear that. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, definitely. I think the problem is too that the trailer almost sets it up more as a horror than it actually is.
Hmm.
Um, so I think like part of it's mismarketing, but also I think people just are lazy with their vocabulary when it comes to talking about movies. Which I mean, not everyone is, you know, goes in depth into this sort of stuff. But yeah, it's a little disheartening to see stuff people calling it boring and just not really giving it any thoughts.
Hmm. Agree because there's a lot to sink your teeth into when it comes to the so she takes the challenge. That's kind of like where the movie starts, And then things start happening, and she's also watching what other people have gone through after taking the challenge. And throughout the movie, you're just like, is this real? And if it is, what is it? Is it an entity that's possessing her? Or you're just not sure. So, yeah, I found that super interesting. Oh, yeah, I even have it in my notes. I'm like, the trailer made it think it was a series of videos. If watched, it caused you to lose your grip with reality. And that's what I was like hoping. I was kind of scared of because you're like, hey, let's do this movie. And I'm like, oh, I'll watch the trailer. And then I watched the trailer and I was like, I literally told Victor, one of my biggest fears is going crazy. And that's what this movie looks like it is.
Oh, damn.
Which I was actually kind of scared to watch the movie
Oh,
because
no. I didn't even think about that. Sorry.
no, you're fine. I embrace it. I want you to give me these challenging movies because I was scared to watch it, and that kind of like got me excited to watch it.
Mhm.
As weird as that is, because the thing that scares me about going insane is you don't know what's going to cause it. And
Absolutely.
this movie brought me back to the this time back in the day. It's probably before your time. It was called Gorish,
Okay.
and it was a website full of gore. Like, it
Got it.
showed real photos of murders and shit like that that got leaked onto the internet. It's awful, and I was a teenager, and I just you know how teenagers are.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've
But
seen sites like those. Those are pretty fucked up. I
they're
can't do those.
right, and it got to a point where it's just like, I watched a video of a, terrorist being, tortured, and
Yeah.
it just I cut myself off. I'm like, "I can't do this anymore. This is gonna, like, desensitize me in the worst way possible."
Dude. Yeah. It does have an effect on you like that.
Yeah, so I that's what I kinda thought this movie was gonna be, is it was like, these videos are gonna, like, make you go crazy. So, what else did you get from the movie? I wanna hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I think what's kind of interesting is that how it shows because Casey starts to, I don't know if she's imagining or she's sort of like almost tricking herself um, into feeling these sort of changes she's going through.
Mhm.
Um, and I thought it was interesting how I'm kind of jumping ahead. I'm not sure if we want to go at this chronologically.
Well, the thing about the movie is it's really long with all of these things happening to her, and then it kinda wraps up really quickly, which I was kinda surprised about. So, it's up to you if you wanted to explore her, the things that she went through, or you just wanna kinda talk through the movie.
I guess the heart of it, it's like what resonated with me the most is like let me collect my words here. Hmm. Sorry.
Um, no, you're fine. So what is it about the movie that that interested you?
I think I didn't realize how like kind of sad this movie was going to be. Um, and very melancholy. It shows this person who is implied to have like it doesn't really make it too obvious, but you can kind of gather that her like home life isn't like the best. Um,
Yeah, it
it,
has
it
that one
seems like
little scene, yeah.
it seems like she's living with her father, um, and there's a clear sort of disconnect from them both. She doesn't seem to want to be around him,
Mhm,
and I think it captures that feeling of wanting to escape reality through external sources in a very like genuine realistic way. I mean, I can only assume that the director has gone through something like this because it almost feels too real to me. Um and like in a very nuanced way. And I just found that to be so refreshing that this wasn't like a standard horror film, that these things that are happening to her are real. Cause it's like she realizes it later on in the film that when she's talking to JLB, which is this anonymous internet person who's sort of like, I guess you'd be considered like an expert on the World's Fair challenge.
quote unquote
Um,
expert,
right.
armchair
Quote unquote.
expert.
Yeah. and he sort of just checks in on her because or the video she's posting um,
Mm.
has like updates are very like intense, and she's saying things like, wanting to kill her father and disappear. And he starts to wonder, like, okay, does she understand that what we're doing right now is just some sort of an MMO? Like, this is just role playing. This is just for fun. And she gets very defensive that he's telling her this because she's like, well, duh, like obviously, but you can tell she
This
was very convinced that whole time.
right. This is the part of the movie that made me super uncomfortable because as a male, I've never had to worry about that.
Mhm.
But as a female, a young female on the internet has to be so terrifying
Oh, dude.
because people like JLB can just message you and just start talking to you. And I don't think he had any malintent with her, but
Mhm.
could have easily and groomed her and stuff like that. You hear about it constantly.
Oh,
And
for
that
sure,
is fucking terrifying to me that that can happen.
dude. Yeah,
So
and I mean, I
that's the
found
part
it.
that really made me uneasy.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I think it was interesting to show as well the JLB character, sort of kind of detach from Casey for a second, and then go into JLB for a little bit, and to show that I don't know, make a sort of transparent image of what someone could be like on the other side, and you don't know what they're like.
Right.
And in this case, JLB is probably of late 40s man living in what I assume was his parents' house.
You think it was his parents' house?
I know the room he was sleeping in made me think like that was like his old childhood bedroom
That's true. I didn't think
because it
about that.
was. I don't know. That's what I kind of got, but I could be
Mm.
wrong there. But
Well, my mind went somewhere else, so I have different thoughts.
oh, what do
It's
you
not
think?
good. Well, okay. Have you ever seen the movie Hard Candy?
No,
Oh my god.
I've heard of it.
Do you know the base of the plot?
I think Patrick Wilson's a pedo.
Yes, basically.
Okay.
So he finds this little girl online. He's trying to groom her, but she's very, very smart for her age. And she calls him out on his bullshit. That's basically the movie. And that's what I
Hmm.
felt in this movie. I was like, is this going into hard candy territory? Because it gave me those
Oh,
vibes.
got
So
it.
once I got that in my head, it was hard to get it out. So whenever I seen him in his house, I was like, oh, he's like really well off, but he has this like really creepy side where he like kind of, I don't want to say stalk, but
Mhm.
looks up these like younger girls doing these videos and it's his way of like grooming them. So that's where my mind went. So it was kind of hard to like get
Interesting.
away from it.
I mean, I definitely see like the grooming thing, but yeah, I don't know. His life and his home life is so kind of ambiguous.
Yeah.
But that is a very interesting thought. I did you find JLB to be like? Did you think that they framed him as like a sympathetic character at all?
It was kind of going back and forth. Like it's hard for me to think of some like a 40-year-old man watching a young girl's video trying to reach out to her
Yeah.
as like a sympathetic character. I don't know why, and I guess it's society that's kind of like painted me this way and I or
Oh, for
like
sure.
thinking this way, but that just seems creepy to me.
Yeah.
So it was hard for me to like get away from that. And at the end of the story or the end of the movie rather, like you kind of get that he is a sympathetic character, but it just I don't know. It's just for some reason I can't
He still
get
gives off a very uncomfortable feeling, especially towards the end.
Mhm.
The way he describes meeting up with her, which I don't even know if that is something that actually happened,
Oh, I didn't
or if
even
he's
think of that
just
possibility. Oh my
or if he's
god.
just writing like a fanfic for Casey. Um, it just seems like something that kind of character would do, write some sort of, kind of romantic fantasy.
It's kinda like a psychopath after doing something horrific, they've painted it in their mind like they've done a good thing, even though on
Yes,
the outside it's a very, very bad thing. So I can definitely see that.
sort of created their own narrative, so they don't.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. It's also kind of ambiguous, but I thought it was interesting how they don't really scold the JLB character or make him like outright like disgusting.
Yeah.
And because it kind of seems like both characters, JLB and Casey, are sort of looking for the same thing.
Mhm.
Casey's looking for like a community or someone to talk to
Well,
because like
let's I
yeah.
kinda wanna go back to that real quick because you said
Mhm.
something that interests me. So you think she really believed into this, what she was doing?
Oh man, I don't know because I mean because there's parts where I feel like she knows she's hamming it up.
Mhm.
But it's just her reaction to being told that it's just a game. Kind of if that part throws me off.
Oh, it kinda, like, snapped her back to your reality, like, "Oh, this is not real," and, it's almost like waking up from a dream. I get
Yeah,
that. I get that, like, believing into it and then, feeling like you're a part of it and, I don't know, making up your own reality and then it bleeding over until it becomes your reality.
right. And I think like that's kind of what I picked up on. I don't know if that's uh yeah, that's just sort of what I read.
I just watched this mini documentary about this girl that faked Tourette's on TikTok,
Oh man.
and that's kind of the vibe that I was getting. Like, people do these things to ham it up for the internet to make them to draw interest in them, to get eyes on them,
Mhm.
and that's kind of the vibe that I got.
That makes
Like, just
sense.
just wanting to be seen, so you just do these ridiculous things. The one that really got me is when she was, like, singing and dancing and then starts screaming and then just goes back to dancing and singing, like, as if nothing happened.
Right.
It just kinda reminded me of the TikTok Tourette's girl.
I can see that. It does seem like she is aware of what she's doing. But then there's like those weird scenes where she's, sleeping and then 5 hours into her slumber, she wakes up essentially.
Yeah, that terrified me.
That
I'm not gonna
yeah,
lie, that scared
no, I
me.
agree. And then like I think the most tragic death in cinema history is the killing of Poe, of her stuffed
Oh, right, right.
or lemur.
Yeah,
Most tragic death.
that is pretty bad, like and that's what makes it so hard is because if she is just doing it for attention, she's literally killing a part of herself for the attention, and that's just sad, and it harpens back to what you were saying, like, she's lonely, and she's just looking
Mhm.
for a community, and I think a lot of people nowadays, that's what they're doing, and they're, like, looking into other people's lives, wanting to be a part of it, but yet always feeling alone.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the double-edged sword here with the internet. It's like you can bring you closer to like people you would never associate with, communities that don't exist and outside of the internet, but as well, it doesn't. I mean, it just depends. It doesn't bring you as close as you might think. I mean, you're just talking through a screen, talking through a microphone. You're not actually there with the person. So I think, at least for me, sometimes when I'm talking to people online and I'm like, all right, see you later. It's almost like that didn't happen. Like I know it did, but that like connection is like not really there.
Yeah, it's because as humans, we're so used to being seeing my problem is, I was looking for a psychiatrist,
Mhm.
and it was during the pandemic, and I did not want to do video, video psychiatry because I need human interaction to be, like, completely transparent.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know what it is, I think I need body language, I need that human physical interaction, or I just can't come across completely, you know? And
yeah.
so I feel that what you're saying. Like it did happen, but it just didn't. There's something missing, and it's that physical connection.
Yeah, and I think what this film shows is that both the viewer and the creator, uh, especially for on the internet age, they're all looking for that same thing. Is that feeling of, I guess, someone like knowing that someone's watching,
Hmm.
someone's there for you,
Right.
um, and both characters are kind of very detached from reality, to be a part of something, a community, I guess. Um,
Definitely. And I feel bad for these like streamers that are creating their own community because personally, I feel like it's a facade of a community. Like it can go away at any time. Like these people aren't your real, maybe a couple of them are, but most of them are not your real friends. And once they lose interest in you, they're going to move on to the next hot streamer. And it's just going to leave you so empty.
yeah, I mean, a lot of it too is just like numbers. I mean, that's all that sometimes matters for a lot of people is just the numbers. I mean, how
Hmm.
many average streamer or average watchers are on your stream, YouTube views. I mean, it's happened to me very often where I'm like, oh, you know, 10 people have logged my film on Letterbox. Why haven't more? And it's
Hmm.
like, and it's such like a thing that wouldn't exist if there was no internet. And it's like all that could just go away, and a lot of these
Hmm.
people would have nothing,
Right.
and that's kind of
Um,
scary.
right. I have a little trick that I do with myself because I do get a little obsessed with the numbers because I get kind of excited to see how videos are going to do. And it's interesting to see what videos take off and what videos don't and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But when I start noticing myself getting obsessed with the numbers, I have to stop and I have to remind myself, why did you do it? And did you enjoy doing it? Like, even if the video doesn't get numbers, I still tell myself, I'm like, but did you have fun? Yeah, I did. I always enjoy your and Nick's company. Enjoy talking to you guys about films. Even if the videos didn't get any views or any listens or anything, at the end of the day, I still feel fulfilled because I had that human interaction with somebody that I really enjoy. So I
Yeah,
think that's something that people really need to concentrate on. Like, it's not the numbers, it's the act itself. That's why they say do what you love.
yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. I mean, and that's something that I try to remind myself too. And it's not so much these days because I've very like I'm very aware of obsessing over stuff like that is just it's pointless. And
Mhm.
like you said, if it what matters most is that did you feel good making it? Uh, does it make you happy? And
Ex
that's all that matters. I mean,
that's that's what really matters.
that's what everything else in life. That's all that matters. I mean, to an extent, but it's the internet doesn't have to be this. I don't know this
Numbers game.
exactly. And it's made, and especially with streaming and YouTube and social media, it's a numbers thing. But and
Mhm.
it's so easy for it to suck you in. Um,
Yep.
yeah,
And it does. A couple of my other notes is, uh so I guess I can talk about why I didn't love the film and, like, the things that kinda, like, held me back from it being great to me.
yeah,
Is it kind of didn't go too far either direction. So, for example, I thought JLB, it was like a hard candy situation. And even though I didn't want the movie to go there, I was kind of expecting it to go there to him being a real pedophile and grooming her and something bad, really bad happening. Like I seen, there was a moment in the movie where she had a gun, which is a
mhm.
pet peeve of mine. Is it's a story thing. Like if you see a gun on the wall, it needs to be shot by the end of the movie.
Right, right, right.
and she pulled out the gun and nothing was done with it, and it kinda aggravated me. So in my mind, I would have had him being the, pedophile, and then her using the gun on him to get rid of him.
Asked him. Yeah.
That would have been satisfying to me.
Oh, for sure.
But, but also, like, the videos ended up being fake, like, it was all for attention, like we've been talking about.
Mhm.
So, I don't know, kind of part of me wanted the videos to be real and her have to, like, suffer some kind of consequence or overcoming the real video, like destroying something and letting it not be a part of her anymore. Kind of like The Ring.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So it didn't really go any of those directions. It kind of like meandered off. Like, yeah, she's fine. She's doing okay. And then it kind of ended. I was like, I don't feel satisfied.
It was just 2 in the middle for you.
Yeah, just me
Yeah.
personally. But the ambiguity that you brought up about him making up this whole story, and that was interesting. I didn't even consider that. So,
Yeah, I just felt like, I mean, they could have met up.
mm,
It just seems too easy for that not to have happened as well, and just to make up his own narrative. I mean,
yeah.
the whole film is kinda dealing with this sort of, like, echo chamber in a sense, where everyone's buying into this sort of narrative and playing into it, and it's its own realm essentially.
Mhm.
And once you're in it, it's hard to, like, I know it's very easy to just get sucked into it because it's such a it seems like it's a very immersive thing. You have like lore videos and, you know, guides that are sort of leading new players to different directions.
Yeah.
Um, some of the videos that they show other people making are very like and like very like the one with the guy pulling the tickets out of his arm.
Okay, I was
Like
about to bring that up. I was like, did he specialize in special effects? Like, I was gonna bring that one up because I'm like, did he make that up just to make a cool video? What was going on there? I'm
and
curious.
I think that's what it was. I mean, it's just people just being immersed into a community, um, and just detaching themselves from reality. I don't know. It,
Mhm. You did bring up the echo chambers, which I think is another huge problem for the internet, and it's we can have the algorithms to blame for that because it only shows you what you want to look for. It doesn't give you new experiences, which is one thing that drives me absolutely insane because I'm always looking for new experiences. I don't want to see the same thing over and over and over. I get bored. Reason I do these podcasts with you and Nick. So yeah, the echo chamber is definitely you don't get voice of reason from other people. You don't get pushback. You're all just on congratulating each other for doing a great job, and that's a problem on the internet too.
it is, and like you brought up, the algorithms are kind of designed to show you what you supposedly want based off of, you know, all the information Google has gathered of you, um, and it's kind of difficult to break out of that unless you sort of know how to. Um, but you can tell with a majority of less tech savvy people that they are stuck in these, you know, for
Mhm.
instance, the political landscape,
Oh,
very
right.
stuck in their right wing beliefs or their left wing. And all they talk to is that group.
Mhm.
And anyone who wants to penetrate that or give a different idea, they're already so locked into that belief, whatever it is. And it separates us like
Yeah.
extremely separates the community.
One thing that I've learned on the internet is do not try to argue with people because you're not going to change anybody's mind. People just want to argue their opinion. They don't want it to be changed. So I
Yeah.
try not to start, I don't try to poke the hornet's nest with those. I just kind of let people keep thinking because like I said, I'm not going to change anyone's mind with my political beliefs because nobody wants to have their political beliefs challenged.
Yeah,
So,
that's pretty damn right, especially on the internet. That's kind of it's so. you have to be like a pro level debater to to convince anyone of that they're wrong.
And even at
Um,
the end of the day, it's not worth it.
no, it's not. And also to you not being able to talk face to face with someone, I think that also just you've already lost. You need
Mhm.
that connection because
Yeah, because people will say things on the internet that they will not say to your face.
no, to them you're just words in a picture and a screen.
Yep. But yeah, so the echo chambers are a real I think are a real problem. And as far as the algorithm thing, like I've kind of mastered it.
Oh
So
hell yeah.
whenever I am interested in a new thing, I will purposely look up that thing. Like for example, I got into painting, like
Mhm.
looking up classic painters and stuff like that. So I'd go on Instagram and I would type in the kind like um neo expressionism, and then I would go through
Yeah.
it and like probably like 25 to 50 posts, and it scrambles up my algorithm. So now all I see are like paintings. So that's a cool way to kind of mess with the algorithm, to use it to your advantage. It's if there's something you're interested in, look it up and just start liking everyone's post that has to do with that. And then it'll help your algorithm.
Yeah, no, that's what I do too. And then you get too much of it, and that's
Mhm.
all you get, and you're like, "Well, what the hell?"
Yeah, you overtune it.
Exactly.
I did that with lowriders. I grew up with around Spanish people, and they
Okay.
loved lowriders, so I did too. I
Yeah.
liked a couple of lowriders. Oh my god, that's all I'm getting now. I mean, I'm not mad about it. They're cool to look
Right.
at, but it's not all I want.
But it's interesting to see how it works.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, okay, just because I liked all these posts, now it thinks that's all I wanna look at.
Yeah, exactly. I
I guess
wish they
I'm
would
a"
tone it down a little bit, but I like if you learn how to use it, it's actually pretty cool. So,
For sure.
there's that.
It's less, I guess, less mysterious
Mhm.
once you learn. I mean, it
Yeah,
still is mysterious, but it's a bit more tangible once you play around with it.
right. It's not as, like, creepy. You realize
No,
it's just a computer doing things.
it's not like a cosmic horror space entity that's controlling.
I mean, it still might be, but
It's still my yeah. So what did you so you told me what you didn't like about the film, which but what did you like from it? What were the like
Anna Cobb is
okay.
amazing.
Dude, for a feature
She
film debut.
The way she delivered her lines, the way she was able to take these pauses and just, like, methodically give out her lines is so, like, a master of her craft. Like, to be that young and to be that talented, I'm so excited, and I hope she works in the film industry more.
Absolutely agree. I think this was like also the perfect film for a newcomer to show off more of those nuanced emotions.
Mhm.
Because like there's so many long takes in this film, and a lot of it is just her reacting to things or just her talking, and
Mhm.
so she's able, like, yeah, to give some really good performances.
Yeah, she acts, like, uncertain when she needs to be, and, she just did such a good job. She was, like, my favorite part of this whole movie, just watching her go through it. I really like people say it's long and boring, but those scenes that are slow and methodical and kind of like you're not sure what's going to happen kind of had me on the edge of my seat. So I really, really enjoyed those scenes. When she like painted herself with the black light and,
Yeah,
rips Poe, and I was like, oh my God, what's happening? And, I liked those scenes. They added tension.
they did,
Mhm.
and it was like a very uh, I won't say it's not underwhelming, but it's a different kind of tension than I think like a lot of us are used to
Mhm.
because you genuinely are kind of concerned for her well-being and you know rips up her lemur and you're like, well, are you okay? Like, is everything
Yeah,
all
you're
right?
genuinely concerned for her mental health at that point. Yeah, oh, what else did I like about the movie? I mean, JLB's fine, I guess. I think he was a weird addition to the movie, but I get why he's there. Um, it's kind of like most the music was great. I loved the music.
Oh, good, good.
Shout out to the composer because he did a great job. He, she, what I don't know.
Yeah, Alex G, he does a lot of like He's like a pretty he's gotten a lot more popular over the years. He does like a lot of like indie, like rock, garage stuff. Maybe not
Oh,
garage rock, but
I know
indie
what you
rock.
mean.
Yeah.
Indie rock that he recorded in his garage, probably.
There you go.
But yeah, I enjoyed the music a lot.
Okay. Did you have like any scenes that were like your favorite? Like any favorite scenes?
Favorite scenes was probably the one where she wakes up and like has the smile in the lamp. I loved that scene because it just creeped me out and I wasn't sure where it was going to go. And I love movies that can do that. Like just keep me on the edge of my seat and not know where it's going to go. Because a lot of movies you can kind of play out in your head and then when it like plays out exactly how you had it in your head, it kind of like takes all the wind out of your sails.
Right.
This one I didn't know where it was going to go, so that was exciting. So those scenes that really like made me question her sanity are probably my favorite scenes.
I see. And do you think you would have liked it more if it because you kind of said it kind of fell in the middle with like the intensity and the mundane aspects of the film, but you kind of wish those scenes were maybe pushed a little further?
Um, no, I think the scenes are fine. I think where it really lost me was her interaction with JBL, and it just didn't stick the landing for me. The ending is really the only part that gets me, is because he was like, yeah, I met up with her, she's fine, and it's like, I don't know. I just wish it would have gone somewhere.
I get you.
That's my only gripe is the ending.
Okay.
Everything else leading up to it is golden. Like I really loved it. It's like a 95%. It's just that last 5%.
Okay, that's fair. That's kind of how I felt the first time I saw it too. I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't really think it needed that sort of prologue.
I do think it's an important film. Like it definitely captured how people use the internet and how it can affect your mental health, make you feel alone, make you try to join these communities that you want to be a part of just to be accepted into a community. And that's scary now that I think about it because there's a lot of communities out there you shouldn't be a part of, but you do it just because so you don't feel alone. I guess that's how gangs get started. Shit.
Yeah. Maybe a bit more initiation to join though, but
Yeah, that's the problem. We need more initiation. You need
you
to
can't
go
just
through some
click yeah, you can't just click join group and then be part of like a white supremacy
right.
you know, organization.
No, you have to go out and do some hardcore shit. No, but really though, like that is the scary part is you can literally just click join community and now you're a part of this community, whether it be a good or bad community.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. It's really easy for people to fall into these sort of things.
Mhm.
And you can see why it's I guess more prominent these days because you don't have to be in person. You can just hide in the shadows essentially.
Yeah, you can find people that have your screwed up sense of the world and then make a community out of that. And that's the thing is like you have all these older people with these opinions and values and they get passed down to younger generations
Mhm.
and I don't know. I don't know. I just think the internet is too the problem that I have with the internet is the anonymity of it. Like my wife challenged me on this, but I still feel like anything you do on the internet should be I don't want to necessarily recorded, but you shouldn't be able to hide behind an anonymity. I can't say that word, it's a mouthful. But you know what
No,
I'm trying to say.
yeah, no, I get you. I might have to argue against you too,
Yeah, I know,
but
and I get the arguments against it, but I just don't like that people can just say or do whatever they want and have no repercussions. That's like
but
the problem I have.
I do get what you're saying. I do kind of agree with that. Um, because then, like you said, younger generations or just anyone in general can kind of get away with a lot of shit,
Mhm.
and some of it may be trivial, um, but everyone is affected by things differently, and it could have a pretty detrimental effect or drive someone to do something that they wouldn't have thought otherwise. Someone planted a thought, and it's like I don't know who that person was. They just said something or they did something, and now they're gone.
Mhm.
they were under the name JLB. I don't know who they are.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so I get what you're saying. I'm not totally disagreeing with you.
Yeah, and I'm not totally disagreeing with the anonymousness of the internet either. Like, I mean, at certain times I'm glad I'm anonymous on the internet. I'm
Yeah,
sure everyone has that.
for sure.
but is there anything else on the movie that really struck you and why you wanted to talk about it?
I feel like probably I think I probably said what I wanted to say. I mean, like I said, I'll say it again. I think what surprised me most was its approach to loneliness and escapism in this day and age, and especially
Mhm.
for the younger generation and those who grew up on the internet and would also go down weird rabbit holes and find so-called friends or acquaintances through online, um, in a way that didn't feel catered to.
Mhm.
Like the writing felt, like I said, very genuine. Like the filmmaker has been through this before, or
Oh
just
yeah.
is so in tune with this culture that it's just second nature.
Mhm.
Um, because this could have easily been. I mean, the idea of someone doing an internet challenge and then starting to go through changes could have easily been like a fucking Blumhouse horror film, mass marketed horror film. And it
Yeah,
would have
and be
felt
like way overdone and kind of miss the point of the whole thing. I see what you're saying.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it would have been a bunch of 40-year-old men writing the story, uh, not fully getting it. And I just
Mhm.
think this film really gets it.
Yeah, 100%.
And like I said, the way that I've never seen in a film before. And I just love that. I can't express how much that like means to me. And I don't know, it just really resonated with me.
Yeah, I think that's a one thing it can resonate with a lot of people because I'm sure we've all went down that rabbit hole like years ago. Uh, I worked night shift, and this is before I had like 100 hobbies. I would go on YouTube, and somehow I don't know how I got here, but I would start looking up scariest videos on the internet, like on YouTube and stuff,
Yeah.
and they got pretty scary. And I would watch them in my dining room with all the lights turned off. And I would go through and like spend hours watching these like scariest videos on the internet kind of thing. Not gore, just like eerie videos. Like I'm
Oh yeah.
sure you've heard the singing robot. That's the one that sticks with me.
I'm feeling fantastic.
Yes. That video lives rent free in my brain and I hate it.
Yeah. That is, yeah.
So that's the part that really resonated with me. And then like after I watch these videos, I'm like, I can't get up because everything's dark and we're all scared of the dark. I grew up terrified of the dark.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that did really resonate with me, the videos and stuff because I have been there. But I haven't done any challenges though. That's before that's after my time.
For sure. Yeah, I wasn't part of any of that too. If
Yeah.
this was part of your time, would you think you would have been the type to take part in challenges like this?
Mm, I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe. Like I used to make my own websites and stuff like that, and I felt like actually I did do a challenge.
Oh,
It's not like this challenge, not like a horror challenge, but I was really into graphic design, and there was this community that I wanted to be a part of. It's like you made a profile, a journal, but you were able to edit your journal to make it look aesthetically pleasing.
okay.
To be able to be a part of this community, you had to make a aesthetically pleasing layout of your journal, and so you would have to apply, and people would rate you, and then at the end they would either pass you or fail you. I did this like 5 times at like 16 or 17 years old, and
Mhm.
I wanted to so bad be a part of this community, so I would just constantly so that was a bit of a quote unquote challenge.
Okay.
Yes,
Did you
I
ever make
finally
it?
got in.
Oh,
I
hell
think
yeah.
they were just sick of seeing my profile. They're just like, "Let's get in, so leave us alone."
It's been 6 times, just let this guy in.
Yeah, but it's really cool because it got me like they would point that it wasn't just no, it's not good. They would give me constructive criticism like, "This is why it doesn't work. This is what you should do differently." So it really helped my graphic design, like, hone it, I guess you could say.
Okay. Hey, that's
Yeah.
really cool.
So I probably would be doing these challenges. I just would be on the more creative side of things, not horror, because that scares me. That's terrifying.
I don't think I could get immersed into like a horror game like this either. I liked looking into spooky stuff, but like it gets to a point where you're like, I kind of want to sleep tonight.
Yes. And it like and I guess that the thrilling thing to me is it rides that line of reality and not real. And you don't want to go over into the reality side of scary things like I can't watch crime dramas because it's too real.
Dude,
Like, I used to get into serial killers and follow it because I thought it was super interesting. Now I can't because I started thinking about all those people that died were real people that really died. And once
dude,
that, like, settled into my brain, I was like, "I can't do this anymore."
that's the my I'm basically the same. My girlfriend likes to watch a lot of those like discovery, you know, crime shows and crime documentaries. And I'm like, she's like, "Do you mind watching them?" I'm like, "No, it's fine." But in the back of my head, I'm just like, dear God, not another one. Like I don't need to learn about a family of four murdered in their home one late afternoon for no reason. You're like,
Right.
what? I don't I don't need to know that. Like, um,
Exactly. So, that's where it rides the line for me. Like, I like the idea of something being real, like the singing robot one.
mhm.
There was this, conspiracy theory that the guy that made it killed his wife and buried her in his backyard, and that's what that one shot of his backyard was him, like, showing off his work. And that stuff, like,
Oh,
kinda interests me because 'cause I'm like, I don't think that's real. Like, it's just a fantastical way of thinking about the silly video.
yeah, it's
So,
kind of like what a lot of people do with that sort of stuff is right throw in like fan fictions or just like theories. It's just
yes.
another kind of creepy pasta thing. It's just a story to scare someone or build like a I don't know.
Yeah, because you read a story and it can go one of two ways. This didn't happen, which you're like, "Oh, that sucks. It didn't really happen." Or it can be like, "This actually did happen." You're like, "Oh, fuck. That really happened." And it makes it 10 times worse. So,
Right.
that, like, not knowing if it's real or not is the exciting part to me.
Absolutely. And something like that, you're like, it's just so uncanny. It's like maybe I can't say for certain that this isn't real, but
Mhm.
um
Yeah, that's why I kinda wish the video or the movie rather kinda would have went towards that, like, that questioning if it was real or not. Like, don't put a definitive I guess, like you said, if you don't think about it as a definitive answer and he just, like, made the story up, but I kinda wish it would have been more ambiguous, I guess.
yeah,
That
the
would have
film
been
is
interesting.
much more grounded than I think it kind of shows.
Mhm.
It's there really isn't anything going on besides uh getting so lost into something like this that you sort of start to kind of lose yourself.
Mhm.
I don't it would be cool if there was like a bit of a maybe a very vague supernatural thing, but I think it was for me not having that kind of makes me like it a lot more. But
Yeah.
it would be cool, I think, to have like in an alternate dimension. This movie had a
Mhm.
bit of supernatural element to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed the film. I'm glad I watched it because I wouldn't have watched this otherwise because I didn't even know about it. You're more into like the indie scene than I am, like the super indie scene, which I appreciate you for because like I stay on the outskirts of it.
That's fair. I
So,
mean, it's a rabbit hole in itself. There's an oversaturation of movies.
oh my god, I
Um,
went onto a short film binge, and there are so many short films out there.
oh, dude, that was like
So,
my main source of like last year. That was like a lot of what I watched was short films.
mhm,
And dear God, there's just so many. There's
there's so many.
varying from different qualities, obviously.
Mhm.
from like YouTube skits that are, I guess, called short films because I don't know. They got a camera and a story, so now it's a short film, even though it's like a YouTube video.
Yeah, right.
There's just yeah. So I try to, if I find something good, I want to talk about. I want to show other people, and like you said, you're kind of, do you like to get into more of the art house stuff as of recently, which I think is awesome.
Mhm.
And so like yeah, I want to share it. I think it's
Yeah.
an interesting one.
Yes, I think people should be sharing stuff like this because I'm always asking people, like, "What are you watching? What's exciting?" But it's usually kind of like, not to knock them or anything, but it's just normal Hollywood mumbo jumbo, and I wanna get into the weird weeds of the indie film scene because it's where the, like I used to think that's where the good stories lie, but it's not necessarily good, it's where the weird stories lie, and that's where I get, like,
Yes.
excited.
It's a lot of hit and miss where it's like the mainstream stuff you can kind of like, most of it's very watchable.
Yeah, it's good enough.
And but with the indie stuff, it's like it could be just kind of shit or it's there's a lot, it's a much rockier of what's going to be good.
But that's what makes it exciting, is,
Very
like, you
true.
don't know what you're gonna get because it can be like, "Oh, yeah, it was okay," or it can, like, just sit with you and never leave you, and you're, like, always thinking about it. Like, this one I'll probably keep thinking about. It'll probably sit with me for a while.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that you got something out of it because I was like a little worried maybe you wouldn't, but just because like I feel like this is hitting like a very specific like kind of age range in terms of like who had experienced this.
Mhm.
I feel like maybe it just will resonate with those kind of people more. But I'm just super glad that you enjoyed this. Makes me
Yes,
happy.
very much so. I really did enjoy it, even though it wasn't like, it didn't stick the landing for me. The ride was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it.
Hell yeah. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
As far as this movie, no, not really. I'm kind of don't have anything else to mention.
Okay.
Recommend it. Like, if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Oh, rating. We do ratings on this one.
Yes, we do.
What do I rate this? Oh, 6.5? 6.5 feels okay.
Okay. The Flatliners rating.
Is it Flatliner?
Well, if you want to do it 6.5, just call it. We give it the Flatliner score.
No, it definitely didn't flatline, but yeah,
uh,
6.5 feels good because it's better than average, but it's not perfect or amazing, but it does bring a lot to the table.
okay. I'm gonna have to go with five. This is a rare five for me.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, like I said, it just really resonated, and I think it just captured a certain feeling of loneliness and wanting to escape that. I don't know, I just hadn't seen before. Also, a scene I really liked was that ASMR scene where she goes into the barn and it's like a very long one take.
Oh, I forgot about that. I was gonna bring that one up because that scene went on a little too long for me.
Hmm.
The I'm assuming it's her mom.
I think it's just like a YouTube ASMR person.
You think so?
Yeah,
Oh, I kinda
I
took
think
it
so.
as her mom recorded this video to give to her, and that's what she uses to kinda, like, calm herself. But they I'm sorry.
Oh, I mean, that's a really, I mean, either way, it's sort of like a motherly warmth. But I really
Mhm.
like that. I thought that maybe it's a mom. I like that.
Yeah, that's just what I gathered, but I liked it, but I think it went on slightly too long.
That's fair. That's
Like,
fair.
coulda trimmed it down a few seconds, but I did like it.
Um, Also, just like when the next video pops up, it's JLB's like terrifying message that she gets.
Oh, and, like, warping her photo, like, that scared the crap out of me. Like, I figured somebody was doing it, but not knowing who that is terrifying.
I just yeah, I think about myself if I was in that situation where I'm trying to go to sleep and it's really late and then that pops up, I would lose my mind.
Yeah, right?
It's
Ugh.
horrifying. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because you want people to watch you, but that means everyone's going to watch you. And sometimes you don't want everybody watching you. There are some creeps out there. Yeah.
That's the conundrum. Damn
Yeah.
it. Um, but yeah, I think this is an easy 5-star for me, and definitely recommend it if you're into, s- uh, you know, uh, fucking I don't know, movies.
If you're into movies,
A
low
certain
budget,
kind of movie, low budget.
yeah, low budget indie films that actually have a good message, I feel has something to say.
Boom, got it.
Yeah.
Did you
Um,
have anything else to talk about, like themes or anything like that? Topics?
so you made me want to like dig into my bag of like weird movies. Like, have you seen Under the Skin?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so that's like the
great one.
movies I'm like wanting to go towards now since you gave me this one. I was like, "Oh, you want to get weird on this podcast? We can get weird, Victor." But I did promise. Oh, I didn't promise, but I said we were going to do Waking Life, and I've been putting that one off for 3 years to talk about,
Oh damn,
and I want to actually talk about it. So I figured it would be a good one for us to talk about on the next episode.
let's do it. I'm so down for that. I love Linklater's work, so
Yeah.
he's like one of my favorites.
Oh, really? And you haven't seen it?
No, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen. I think there's like a few of his I haven't seen, but this is one of them. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I saw it years and years ago, and I really enjoyed it, but I haven't seen it since. So I'm excited to like dive back into it.
And it looks like it's in the style of Scanner Darkly, like in terms of visually,
Hmm.
which is just incredibly strange, but I love it.
Well, I like it because it almost feels like you're in a dream while you're talking about dreams. So
Okay. So it's like the perfect sort of aesthetic for
yes,
something like this.
yeah, I usually don't like this kind of aesthetic, but it fits with this movie. Like, cause back in the day they had those like shaky cartoon drawings,
Yeah.
and I don't like them. They bother me.
Oh, where like the lines are like constantly moving.
Yes.
Yeah.
It might be my like OCD because you're catching my attention with your drawing. So I can't pay attention to the story because I'm too concentrated on your drawing because you're distracting me.
And it's moving around
Yeah.
all the time.
But yeah, I've never seen Boyhood, so
Oh, I think that's probably my favorite. It's been so long since I've seen it, but that one was very long, but very good.
yeah. I heard it was pretty good. I just never got around to watching it. But anyway. But yeah, so
Well,
we'll do Waking Life. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about or anything?
um, I think I'm, I think I'm good. I think I kind of covered everything I was thinking about the day before to talk about.
Yeah.
Um,
It's really funny. So I've been buying a lot of books on like screenwriting and stuff like that because I've always enjoyed writing and I want to actually like make a story one day. I love
okay.
coming up with ideas and concepts. Like I can do that all day every day, but I've never sat down and like finished a story. So I want to actually like do that. So I'm like coming up with themes and stuff like that, like what I want to talk about. And I'm going down this like rabbit hole of like what'll work on what I'm wanting to talk about and shit like that. And I'm like landing on death. And I was like, we Victor and I just talked about this. Like, why do I want to talk about? It's not necessarily death, more so like grieving. And I don't know. I just thought that was pretty funny. Like you were talking about you always want to write stories about death, and I was like, that's kind of weird. And then I start doing that, and I was like, he infiltrated my
Damn it.
creativity.
I'm very sorry.
No, it's okay. I just thought it was pretty funny. So that's what's
I
going on with me lately. Trying to
okay.
write this dang screenplay.
Like a short film or just
Um,
whatever it ends up being, I guess.
I think it's whatever it ends up being. I'm shooting for like a regular finger feature length film because short stories take a lot of um what's the word I'm looking for? Just narrowing it down to something very, very simple.
Right.
and
They're sort
and
of a beast in its own
it's
way.
very difficult to do.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right on that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm are you have you how much have you written, or are you just like preparing to write?
I I'm trying to find my style, so I haven't written anything technically, but I am doing like plot outlines. Like I'm trying to figure out how the end can make sense with the beginning, what goes on in the middle, what are the values that characters have, how does the underlying meaning play with the internal conflict play with the external conflict, cuz I want all of it to like weave together. Have you ever seen Enemy?
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite movies of all
Oh
time,
shit. Okay.
and I love how he weaves this underlying meaning on top of this story, but they both are not interchangeable, but they both weave together.
Right. They don't
And
feel too separated.
yeah, and that's kind of what I'm going for.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
so I'm super interested in finally figuring out how that's going to work out. It's
Well,
harder than I thought it was going to be.
oh, dude, it's yeah.
People are like, I could write that. Like, well, then do it. And then I
Could you
try to sit
really?
down and write a story, and it's like, oh my God, this is really to write a good story. I can write some off the wall, just crime drama, have a lot of twists and turns, but what did you get from the film? Like, that's really what I want to do is like, if somebody reads it, I want them to like get something from it. Like,
And that's the hard part for sure. Is will this what I'm trying to express is someone else going to pick up on that, and how do I make that like palatable or in a way accessible so someone it's not completely a mystery what the hell is going on.
mhm.
That's a challenge, my friend. But
It's
I
very much challenging because I did go on this one like path of thought. I was like, oh, well, if this happens, this happens, this happens. And I'm like, that's so boring and generic. Like anybody can write that. Like it's just I just scrapped it and just started over. So
I guess like the best. I mean, it's awesome that you. It sounds like you have the drive to like do this. I mean, I guess the best thing to do is just maybe keep watching films too that are successful in what maybe you're also trying to do.
yeah, so
Um,
that's what I've kind of been doing. I've been like watching these movies that kind of like are in line with what I'm wanting to say,
and I
what I'm
guess
wanting to
just
write.
don't be afraid to copy a little bit. Just because I mean, some of the best filmmakers copy each other, and
Mhm.
sometimes it might be a little bit necessary in order to like, especially for someone just starting out, to know how to convey something like that.
Yeah, because when I first started, I mean, I think every artist goes through this. Like, I want to have my own original thing that doesn't copy anybody else. And then you finally realize like everything is a cop. Have you ever seen This Is a Remix? Or Everything is a Remix?
No.
I'll have to send that to you. But basically he talks about how everything is uh, you know, a change from something else. Like it's not an original idea. It's taking an idea and making your own original thought off that idea.
Oh, okay. I think I see it here. Is it by Kirby Ferguson?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely check that out because it shows you that it's not a bad thing to quote unquote copy. It's actually a good thing. So I'm trying to get that in my mind. Like I'm taking little snippets of stories that I enjoy and like kind of put them together in my own amalgamation of a story.
That's very smart. It's very easy to go, oh, I want to be 100% original. And it's like, good luck, dude.
Yeah, nobody really is. I mean, if even if you look at one thing that I noticed is David Lynch. I watched Blue Velvet recently for the podcast, and I
Mhm.
started to realize how much he took from old neo noir films, like from the
Oh, yeah.
1940s and 50s. It's like, oh, he's not even that original. Like maybe his zany weirdness is, but he's just overlaying that onto things that are already established.
Right. I think a lot of people kind of assume that a lot of these artists are just like, it's all their idea. But
Mhm.
like I said, like even the best, they have to take from something, and like Lynch taken from maybe some of like those 50s noirs, or it's like Yeah, I don't know. It's cool that they can do that, but make it their own thing.
That's the hard part. Taking it and making it your own thing. That's the part that I'm struggling with.
But that is also something that doesn't come right away. You gotta go through many scripts or just like many ideas until it becomes like your own thing. Like even with me, like, dude, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, I don't know what my style is. Um, and I think that's probably pretty common with a lot of people just starting out, or people who are just, I don't know, even years into it. They're like, I don't even know what my style is. I don't know what my voice is.
Yep.
I think it's, don't be too discouraged by that, because that's
Um,
just so common.
Another thing that discouraged me is getting married to an idea.
Oh,
Like, like you want it to work this way, but it doesn't. And you're trying to figure out a way for it to like work. And you're like, but it doesn't. And you're like, but I can make this work if I work hard enough. And it's like, but it doesn't.
yeah.
That's another problem that I'm struggling with is like, I want to do this thing. And it's like, yeah, but it doesn't work that way. And I'm like, but I can make it work that way. Yeah, but it doesn't.
Then you try to rewrite the thing around that.
Yes. And
It's
then you
like,
realize it's rubbish and you're realizing why it doesn't work.
yeah. You're like, damn, I wish I would have known this a little earlier.
Yeah, right. So, but that's pretty much what I've been up to, just trying to write this damn story.
Well, I'm pretty hyped for you, man. I think you got it, but it's gonna, yeah, it won't be easy, but I think you'll get to it.
I appreciate it. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't have anything else if you don't.
No, I think I'm solid.
All right. Well, next time I guess we're doing Waking Life. Until then, later everybody.
Goodbye.